Hello ladies, gentlemen, and persons in between. My name is Tim Snowborn, and today another break from politics as I take a look at the new Netflix series Altered Carbon for another episode of Not So Serious Issues. So I might have to split this into two different parts, because at first I'm going to talk about my actual review of the series, and then I want to get into some of the philosophical aspects of the show, which normally I don't notice. Normally I don't see the philosophical angles of a TV show or a movie. I wish I could. I wish I didn't have to watch these philosophy of series to get that. But in this case, a few things occurred to me, so I want to talk about that later. First, let me talk about my thoughts on the show. Now, a little background. I've read the book series. There's 3 books in the Takeshi Kovacs series. It's Altered Carbon, Broken Angels, and Woken Furies. It's the third one. I've read the first book at least twice. I want to say 3 times, but I'm not 100% on that. And I've read the other 2 once each. I'm going to start with differences between the book and the series, based on what I remember. It's been a few years since I read the first book, so I don't remember everything 100%. But again, I read the first book at least twice, and season 1 seems to be based entirely on the first book. Oh, and in case you haven't seen the series, spoilers ahead. There's some stuff that definitely wasn't in the book, and there's some stuff that I just don't remember. The main thing is that they made the villain his sister. That definitely was not in the book. I don't know why they decided to do that. I don't know how it helps the story to make the villain his sister. We also were introduced to the villain earlier in the book. I guess we met the villain in the show, and we just didn't know that she was the villain. The other big change for me was the scene where he was checking into his hotel. That scene in the lobby where all those guys came to get him. I was looking forward to that scene because it was my favorite scene in the book. It was different because, first of all, in the book, only 2 people came to get him. It was a man and a woman. It was the man who was double-sleeved that we saw, and then there was a woman, and they showed a woman in that team on the show, but then you never saw her again, which is kind of weird because she became sort of an important character toward the end. She's like the only woman in the book he didn't fuck, even though he hung out with her for a night. The other thing that changed about that lobby scene, the main thing for me, was that in the book, the guy behind Kovacs had a gun to his head, and Kovacs, the panel, Kovacs was standing in front of that panel, and the panel is going, "Please put your hand on the panel so we can give you full service." And the second Kovacs put his hand on the panel, the guns dropped down and just turned the guy behind him into hamburger in a second. Just riddled him with bullets right away. And then proceeded to make Swiss cheese out of the woman who was there. That was a great scene in the book, and it didn't quite live up to what I imagined on the show, mostly because there were too many people there, and it didn't immediately turn the guy behind him into pink mist. So that was kind of disappointing, but it was still a decent scene. The hotel was not Poe themed that I recall. I don't think that was in the book. I liked Poe as a character. I was disappointed when he died. I was like, oh no, not Poe. I liked him. Come on. That sucks. The super religious Asian dude with a Predator camo, he wasn't in the book. I don't remember him at all. I do remember Lizzie, and I remember psychosurgery. I don't remember the hotel giving her psychosurgery. I don't remember him teaching her all those badass knife skills and whatever. I don't remember her showing up at Head in the Clouds and killing half the villain's henchmen. I was kind of nervous about, like, when I first saw the main guy that they had cast as Takeshi Kovacs, I was kind of concerned that there was going to be a lot of hubbub about whitewashing because, you know, he's supposed to be at least half Asian. He's supposed to be half Japanese and half Slavic, I think. And I thought, that guy doesn't look Asian at all. But I thought they explained it pretty well. He's just in a different sleeve. And they showed him as an Asian dude, which is cool. Lizzie's dad, that black dude, I don't believe he was in the book at all. I don't remember that character at all. I liked seeing Matt Frewer. He was the guy who ran those games, the guy who looked like he was kind of ripping off Jim Carrey's Riddler look. He was the neighbor kid's dad on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He was the lawnmower man in the second movie. I always liked him back in the 90s. I really expected the neurochem to be featured more prominently in the show. The neurochem, do you even know what I'm talking about? In the book, they kind of made a big thing about how Kovac had this chemistry in his body, like they had given it to him when they trained him to be a soldier, and it gave him superhuman speed and agility or something. And every fight scene in the book was like, and then the neurochem kicked in and the shit really hit the fan. And you didn't really see much of that in the show. They mentioned it briefly at the beginning, and there were a couple of times where he could like see through walls or whatever, but the neurochem was not, most of the neurochem talk was in the narration, so I guess I wouldn't expect him to say it out loud for no reason, but still. They could visually show the neurochem working. I didn't see the neurochem enhancing his abilities that much. I don't remember the Bancrofts having any kids. I don't know. I suppose they were mentioned, but they weren't featured so prominently in the book as they were in the show. I was expecting Miriam Bancroft to play a larger role. Kovac fucked her at least twice in the book. Ortega did not get a new arm that I remember. I don't believe that was in the book. Her whole family wasn't killed by that dude. That was kind of weird. That whole thing where Kovac's clone tried to kill him in the games. We didn't see Kovac's clone until the third book. There was a younger version of him, like they copied his mind and put him in another body, a younger version of himself, and the younger Kovac was hunting the one we saw. That was in the third book. It's kind of weird because you might get the impression from the first book that he's a private detective now, like other people are just going to hire him to solve crimes, but the plot of the second and third book are totally different from the first one. In the second book, for some reason I can't remember, he's helping a team of archaeologists dig up some alien tech on another planet. I don't quite remember the plot of the third book, except that it involves Quellcrest Faulkner coming back, and again, that clone of him hunting him down, and they're on this world where a civilization that died out long ago still has these airships patrolling the skies, and you can't fly above a certain height on this planet that they're on because these ancient alien airships will shoot anything down that gets too high. That was part of the third book. I don't remember the plot, I just remember a few things about it. I don't remember Ortega's partner, the Muslim guy, or her boss. I feel like they changed the ending. I don't think I fully understood what happened at the end of the book. I remember that they lied to Bancroft at first and told him a different reason for what happened. I think I remember something about him getting infected with a virus. I don't remember if that was the truth or if it was part of the lie. Again, I never fully understood what actually happened at the end of the first book. So, I don't know, maybe they got it right here, but I feel like they changed the ending a bit. I don't remember Ortega killing a bunch of the villain's clones. That, I'm almost sure, didn't happen in the books. I remember at the end of the book, he got the villain in a bear hug and smashed out of a window, and he destroyed her head with some kind of grenade. He held a grenade against her head, and it was sort of like a claymore. It destroyed his hand too, but it didn't blow him up completely. It was just sort of directed the blast. He held it against her head and blew her head off as they were falling into the water. I thought it was really lucky that Head in the Clouds didn't land on any buildings. I kind of thought that they would bring Head in the Clouds down, but I thought, no, they wouldn't do that. There's a heavily populated area below them. It would destroy so many buildings and kill so many people. But of course they brought it down and it lands in the water. I don't think Head in the Clouds went down in the book. I don't remember the lawyer. I don't remember them framing her. That's part of the reason that I think they changed the ending. I don't remember them framing a lawyer at the end of that in the book. I don't remember all those flashbacks with Quellcrest Faulkner and the envoys training. Yeah, they talked about her a lot, but I feel like they kind of padded out the show with some of that. Even though, I mean, she does become more important again in the third book. If they get to do the third book, she does feature more prominently there. That whole thing about Quell being the inventor of the stacks, I don't think that was in the book. I don't know why they decided to do that. That seems weird. Overall, I liked it. I mean, there were a number of changes. Most of them weren't very big. Not a lot of them made any sense, but they weren't enough to sour me on the show. I do hope that they get to do the second and third books. I'll be anxious to see those. So yeah, thumbs up. Alright, that is going to be it for my review of the show. I'm going to save the philosophy for next time. Let me know in the comments if you've seen the show. Let me know if you've read the books, what you thought of the books, what you thought of the series, how they compare. Thank you very much for joining me for this conversation. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. It's great to have you here. I would love to have you subscribe and join me for future conversations and check out my previous videos for more. If you're already a subscriber, thank you very much for coming back. It's great to have you tuning in again. I really appreciate your continued support. As I said, we'll get to the philosophy tomorrow. Until then, I'll see you on the next screen, everybody.